So did I actually find the best Mesa triple rectifier tone ever? And I've made even more improvements with my Fender Tone Master Pro, so we'll have to check that out. And speaking of the Fender Tone Master Pro, there was a little bit of drama online about Sonic Drive Studio's review of Fender's latest update for the Tone Master Pro. And do power tubes really make a big difference? All that and more in today's Riffs and Responses. Let's get started. Well, hey guys, thanks for joining me for today's Riffs and Responses video. If this is your first time here, this is where I read and respond to comments, and I actually do some demonstrations on the show of different pieces of gear. I play mixes, riffs, and all kinds of other crap. So let's get started with the first comment now. All right, so now let's read some comments that were on my official ToneX Mesa Boogie Reference Signature Collection video I just did the other day. Man, say that 5 times really fast. Holy crap. This first comment is from Mark Grant 1129, and he said, "It's crazy that this pack sounds weird and thin when I listened to other YouTubers doing a demo of them. But yours actually sounds spot on. I have a 92 rectifier that sounded totally different than a Revv G. It's thick and tight, but didn't have that overbearing flub like the later ones. And I have owned all of them but the Road King. You did them justice." Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Man, this is the triple rectifier that I downloaded into my ToneX pedal, and this is what it sounds like. I'm boosting it right now with the Horizon drive that's in my HX Effects, but other than that, I haven't changed anything. I added just a hair of gain for the lead channel of it, but that's about it, you know? So let's just give this a quick listen. I mean, that just sounds freaking incredible. Honestly, this is the best I've ever heard a triple rectifier sound. And the thing is you got to understand too, like the guys from Mesa were there. You know, Doug was there, and they, you know, when they were doing all these captures, and these guys know these amps backwards and forwards, so you know they dialed them in to sound at, you know, their very best. They know what these knobs do, and they know how to get the best tones out of these amps. And I tell you, man, they really achieved that with this particular one anyways. This sounds absolutely incredible. I don't really know why other YouTubers made them sound thin. I didn't watch a lot of the videos, so I'm definitely not going to judge their videos, but I think that a lot of people are under this assumption that they want to make everything sound mix ready, or maybe some guys go after thinner tones because they play like a certain kind of music or whatever, but I just try to make everything sound as big, bombastic, full, and aggressive as I can, and that's pretty much what I go for. But like I said earlier, I didn't really have to do much to this capture at all. I did not touch the EQ one bit. I just boosted it, turned up the gain just a little bit for the leads, but the rhythm that you heard, the gain might have been tweaked just a hair, but that's about it. I mean, these sound absolutely incredible. But thanks for commenting. I'm glad that you enjoyed how I presented these captures in that video, and I will always try to put everything that I have on this channel under the best light. This next comment on that same video is from Skywalker5150. He says, "They should do the same thing with EVH amps." Oh man, that would be awesome. That's a great comment, and that would be a freaking killer idea. I would love to see them do that with like the EL34 100, the Stealth 100, and some of their OG stuff. You know, that would be freaking awesome. So, I mean, stay tuned. I mean, if they nail the EVH stuff as well as they nailed the Mesa stuff, I mean, it's going to be another grand slam for IK Multimedia and all of their customers. This next comment on the same video is from Val Paulsinelli, and he says, "I ordered the pedal," meaning the ToneX. "Now I have to spend $100 on this pack. You're killing me, LOL." Well, thanks for commenting, man, and I guarantee you, you're going to love the pedal and you're going to love this pack. I mean, The triple rectifier capture alone is worth the price of admission, and in my opinion, everything else is just a bonus, you know, icing on the cake. I like the Mark stuff in there as well, and I do, as much as I do like the Mark stuff, it needs to be brightened up just a hair, so on the pedal, you can just turn the presence up a little bit, and it gives it that little bit of edge, and it gives it that perfect amount of brightness. So you can do that as well, or if you like it the way it is, you can just stick with that too. I do like it the way it is, but I just wanted a little more top end in it, and I really think that that helped it out quite a bit. In fact, let me switch to that now. And let's play a couple riffs on it, and I'll go ahead and brighten it up for you. You're not going to see what I'm doing, but I'm just turning up the presence knob a little bit on the ToneX pedal. Yeah, I just turned up the presence a little bit. It's at, where is it? 7.2, and it gave it that bite and that edge I was looking for. So it's really simple to do on this pedal, and that's one of the things I really like about this pedal. It's just simple. You don't have to do all these deep dives in it. It's very tactile. It's very amp-like, you know, so it's very easy to make those changes. So depending on your taste, you can just adjust things up and down accordingly, and I'm sure you're going to like all of these captures. And this next comment from the same video is from Matthew Earl 9824. He says, not a triple rectifier fanboy, but damn, did it sound good. Like, seriously, very usable. Oh, thanks for commenting, man. And you're right. I mean, the triple rectifier, in my opinion, is the money capture in this whole pack. I just think it sounds awesome, and it's worth the price of admission. It really is. So why don't we hear this in a couple riffs. I'll play the triple rectifier capture in a couple riffs, and I'll do a full mix for you. And just so you know, I'm wearing a different shirt while I'm playing those riffs and that mix. It's because after I edited those, I realized, I'm like, oh my God, this is the same shirt I wore the other day in my other video. So I went up and changed into this. Just so you know, like, I just really legit shot those earlier before I started shooting this video. I shot all the riffs and mixes just to get all that shit out of the way. So I'm just telling you all this just to not have any confusion here. let's shift gears here and get into some comments about my Tone Master Pro update video I did a couple days ago. This first one is from David Anderson 3576. He says, great video. On an impulse, I sold my KEMPER stage and picked up the TMP 3 months ago, and finally have come to the conclusion that this thing needs big updates to get it to the level of other modelers. Selling mine and grabbing an FM9. Might revisit in a year or so. Keep up the great work. Well, thanks for commenting. I'm glad you enjoyed the video, and I get where you're coming from. I mean, if something doesn't have what you're looking for, then it's not going to work for you. And especially if you don't want to wait around for certain updates to make it work for you, you'd rather get something that works for you now. Go for it. You know, I mean, that's what this market is all about. I mean, that's the thing with all these different modelers out there. You know, I mean, some are missing things that are important to some people, but those same things that it's missing are not important to others, you know, and there's all kinds of things that we're looking for in different digital platforms. So you got to get the right one that works for you, and I totally respect that. And I understand your frustration with it as well. The thing is I think companies need to really have their feet held to the fire regarding releasing products that are actually ready for market. I mean, you can't get away with that kind of stuff with airplanes or automobiles, you know. I mean, if you have crashes and explosions and stuff, I mean, you're going to go out of business, you know, let alone the lawsuits that are going to sue you into oblivion. I mean, there's not really safety issues here, but it doesn't mean that it's not important, you know. These companies really do have to have their feet held to the fire regarding all of this stuff, and I'm honestly damn sick and tired of companies releasing products that aren't ready for the marketplace yet, and they're getting away with it because people keep buying them. And I think it's time that they start changing their course with that. Now, the Tone Master Pro, I think, is a great product, and I think it's got a lot of promise, but for a lot of people, promises aren't good enough. They want delivery on those promises, and they want them now, and I totally understand that. Now, that being said, I can take this out and gig with it right now. I really can, and I'll just stick with me for a few minutes here. I'm going to read a few more comments, and I'll show you how I got it sounding, and it sounds amazing now. But I had to get creative to make that happen, and it should just do what it's supposed to do without having to think too much out of the box to make it happen. Now, John Simons at Sonic Drive Studios, the other day, he did a video about the update as well, and some people got mad at him because he was basically calling, you know, Fender out on still not updating it to where it needs to be yet, and it's still inaccurate with some of the, you know, the sounds that you're getting out of it. I mean, the EVH amp, they said they fixed it, but I think it's better, but it's still not up to par yet, or at least the cabs aren't. I don't know what the deal is, you know. The cabs are still very inaccurate regarding mic placement and stuff like that. I don't like the dots, the fixed points where you can put them. I'd rather have a free area where I can move the mics wherever I want. That would be a lot better. And I just think that wherever the mics are placed on the cabs, they're still not accurate. And I have to get really creative to make all that stuff work for me and make it sound like my real amp and cab that I have here. It should do exactly what my real mics and cabs and amps and, you know, all the stuff I have here are doing. It should mimic that. I mean, if it's modeling those things, it should model them at least accurately, or at least within the ballpark, but it's pretty inaccurate. Now, I'm not saying I can't get it to sound close, but I have to think outside of the box to make that happen, and that's what John was saying in his video in a roundabout way, and I agree with him, you know. And I think it's good that channels like his and mine and maybe some others out there are, you know, shining a light on this stuff. We're not bashing the product. We're just trying to get them to make it the way it's supposed to be. And it's unfortunate that we have to do this kind of stuff, but honestly, I feel like if we didn't do that, these companies would continue to just do what they're doing and get away with it because, hey, if no one's bitching about it, well, let's just keep going down that same road, right? So it takes people like us to keep these companies in check and be an advocate for you guys so that as consumers, you get what you're supposed to get from these companies. Now, I'm not saying all companies are evil and, you know, corrupt or anything like that. You know, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's good to have you know, people like us who reviewed this stuff to keep this stuff from getting out of hand. So I applaud John for doing what he did, and he's got a good channel over there at Sonic Drive Studios, and I think he's a nice guy. I've never met him, but I think he does a really good job on his reviews. And, you know, I don't see anything wrong with what he said. I'll have to watch the video again, but John's a nice dude, you know. I don't see him being mean-spirited towards anybody or anything like that. Now, I know John's channel is a lot bigger than mine, and I'm not trying to get a signal boost out of saying these things at all. I never expect other channels to help me out. I mean, I've always been kind of a lone wolf and do my own thing, so I'm just being honest with you guys when I say all this stuff. All right, here's another comment from the same video. This is from James Florio, and he says, "Great playing as always." Thank you. I do like the TMP, the look, the gapless, etc. My take still is it's competing still with units that are much better in the same price range. Gapless is actually available for $600 for a Boss GX 100, which also sounds better, and tons more effects. Thanks for the demo. TMP be a great unit for $500. Well, thanks for commenting. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. And I'm glad that you shared your thoughts here. I mean, I hope that Fender's reading this stuff and it's getting back to them and they can weigh all that in with what they're doing. Now, I've never played one of the Boss units. I definitely want to try one someday. I've heard nothing but good things about them. And I know that they're not as expensive as a lot of other modelers out there. And Boss is known for having great effects. So, of course, they would have all their amazing effects in their modelers. I mean, that's actually a bonus for Boss. And they have some of the best effects out there. So I can understand why people would, you know, prefer those at times. You know, it really comes down to taste and all that kind of stuff and preference. But, you know, the thing is the TMP going down to $500 or $600, man, I don't know. I don't see that happening. I mean, when you look at it, the build quality is amazing. The graphics, the screen, the touch screen, the I/O, the whole interface, everything is just amazing on this thing. It's top notch. So I can't see them lowering the price based on those things alone. But I just hope that the tones, the quality of the amps, the quality of the cabs, and the accuracy of all those things, and the accuracy of the knobs on the pedals as well, and having more effects will soon catch up to all of the other awesome quality components in the product. And once those match that, I think this thing's going to be a complete winner. And I also think that, and I know, broken record time, they should turn it into a profiler. It's got the DSP for it and it has the I/O for it, so I don't see why it wouldn't work. So if they do something like that, I think this thing's going to be a freaking really, really big contender in the digital platform market. Okay, this next comment in the same video is from Chris Taggart. What's up, Chris? He said, by the 15-minute mark, you have the TMP sounding better than the real amp. That's when I was dialing in the Tone Master Pro to sound as close or whatever I can get it to the real Stealth and the real cab. And there was a point where it actually, depending on your taste, it had a little more top end. And some people tend to, you know, steer towards brighter things and like those more. So it definitely had a little more top end, and it actually sounded really good. And I have further tweaked it since then, and I think I got a really good middle ground with it now. And I think it sounds incredible. It really does. So let's head over to the computer now, and I'll show you what I did briefly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I'll show you quickly how I have it set up. And if you want to try doing that with your Tone Master Pro, go ahead and give it a shot and see what you think. Okay, so here we are at the computer, and basically all I did is I moved the 57 back here at the 3-inch mark, right on the cap edge. I found a happy medium. When I had it on the cap here, it was a little too bright. And then I moved it back to the cap edge and it got kind of dark again. But with this, the further you move it away, the brighter it gets. Let me just do a quick demonstration of how I changed it. You hear how that's a little dark? So let me move it to the cap and show you the difference. All right, that's a little bright, so I'm going to move it back to where I had it now and show you how much better it sounds. All So I think that's a happy medium, and then here's my high cut here. Got an 8.5, and I think that's a good place to have it. So, I mean, it's not exactly like the real cab, and it's unfortunate that you have to move it 3 inches away, because on my real cab, I have it right here. You know, it's right up on the, you know, the grill cloth, and here I have to have it 3 inches away. That's what I'm talking about. These are just not accurate measurements. So if they can fix that and we can do what's normal and what is our habit of how we, you know, line mics up, I mean, I think this would be a lot easier for us to deal with, and we wouldn't have to be so outside of the box when we dial it in. Well, like I said, I think it sounds freaking awesome. I would gig with this right now. I really would. I think it sounds really freaking good, and I'm happy with the way it sounds, but again, it's unfortunate that I had to think outside of the box and do a lot of experimenting to get it to sound the way it does, but it is what it is. Hopefully they'll make some changes down the road and improve it. And again, I want to thank Keith Martin for sending me this and getting it for me. I really appreciate it, and I think it's very helpful for people who own this product, where I'm going to continue to help you guys and make improvements with this. And I hope Fender sees these videos and it helps them as well. Now that I've made the improvements with the TMP, let's see what it sounds like in a full mix. All right, this next comment is from Brian Clem, and he said, I have a question for you after my statement. I have limited experience with great tube amps. When I plugged into the DSL 100H, it floored me. I think it was EL34. Question, can you give thoughts on how power amp tubes give you that sound? EL84s didn't do it for me, and I have no experience with 6L6 or 6V6. Well, good question, and there's a lot of conjecture about that. I mean, if you ask 10 different guys what they think about that, you're going to get 10 different answers. I mean, it really comes down to, you know, some people really get into the whole cork sniffery of it all, and some people are, you know, pretty honest about it, where they just say, I don't really hear a big difference. Now, there are exceptions to that. I mean, EL84s do break up easier, and they kind of fall apart at higher volumes. That's why a lot of people don't like, you know, the lunchbox amps with EL84s in them, because once you get up to a certain volume, they start falling apart. You can hear them farting out on you. You can hear it, and it's kind of annoying sometimes. So depending on how the amp is geared or dialed in, that could be an issue, you know. So, and here comes my cat. What's up, buddy? So yeah, I mean, as far as the difference between 6L6s and EL34s and stuff like that, I think there's some subtle differences between them. I don't think it's really super, like, obvious, but to some people it is, to some people it's not. So it really depends on you. You have to try out different amplifiers and see what you think for yourself, but I think the biggest differences are between the EL84s and all of the bigger tubes, you know. I mean, KT88s and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's so many different variations of tubes out there, and some of them are derivatives of each other, and there's really not that much of a difference at all. So I don't know enough about it to really give you a verified answer, but all I can tell you is my experience with all these amplifiers. I typically just go with 6L6s. I think that's just the way I've always been. I don't know if there's a huge difference, though, because I used to have an EVH EL34-100, and I have the Stealth here, which is the 6L6 version of the same amplifier. And when I put them up against each other and I went back and forth on my switcher, I honestly could not tell you the difference. There's other people that claim that they can hear the difference. I couldn't hear it. So I don't know, but I would say that if the EL84s didn't work for you, I totally understand that, because again, they do fart out pretty easily depending on the amplifier, but I would stick with either EL34s or 6L6s, and I think you'll be safe with either one of those. This next comment is from Hyperbole Kid, and this is from the video I just did a few days ago with the Mesa Barba and the Red 7 Leviathan. He said, I like that you used a nice mix of cabs and speakers and mics versus just vintage 30 with a 57, because everyone seems to do that combo and all YouTube channels start sounding the same. Love the Leviathan, just a monster of an amp. Well, thanks for commenting. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. And yeah, that's why I try to switch things up here. I try to do dual cabs, and I use the Zilla, which has a DV77 in it, and I use my Mesa with vintage 30s, and I combined them because I could do that with the KHE switcher. It's a really, I love that piece of gear, man. It's awesome. I couldn't do this show without it now. It's the most important piece of gear down here. It allows me to do dual cabs, so that's awesome. So anyways, I combine the cabs and the speakers, the different microphones, so that you can hear you know, just a different sonic experience with these amplifiers. And even when I do use the Mesa cab with the vintage 30s, I still use a Royer 121 paired with an SM57 so that you get a full spectrum of sound when you listen to my videos. I mean, because just a 57, honestly, doesn't represent the cab at all. It just represents a very small portion of what that cab sounds like and what those speakers sound like. But when you pair it with the Royer 121 and you get that right placement, you're catching more of the speaker, and you're getting what I think is a better representation of the sound. It's kind of like, you know, if you have a room and you have one window, you're not going to see everything in the room. But if you have two windows, you're going to see more. Well, it's the same thing. The more mics you have on a speaker, the more of that speaker you're going to hear. So that's why I do what I do. I mean, other channels can do whatever they want. I'm not going to judge them, but I do things differently here because I just think differently, I guess. So I'm glad you liked the video, and I'm glad that you liked how everything sounded. Well, guys, that about wraps it up for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I want to thank everyone who's been purchasing the preset and capture packs from my website for ToneX, Quad Cortex, and KEMPER. I really appreciate that. I've been hearing a lot of great feedback from you guys and how much you love the tones and the capture packs and all that kind of stuff, and I really appreciate that, and I'm glad you're enjoying them. So if you're looking for some amazing metal tones, like brutal metal tones of a lot of these amplifiers here, for any one of those platforms. Again, ToneX, Quad Cortex, or KEMPER. Go to my website, linked below, tonewars.com, and get some awesome brutal tones and some glorious cleans as well for any one of those platforms. Well, to all my Patreon supporters and subscribers, thank you guys so much. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, because I got a lot of great stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.